Shelters had given up on this weak animal, who went by the nickname the saddest cat on the internet. But a kind couple brought him in for his final moments, never realizing that they would see something incredible within an hour of returning home. An orange tabby, later known as Benjamin Button or Ben Ben, was discovered in Vancouver, British Columbia's downtown east side in April of 2016. He was not the first animal to be rescued from this neighborhood, nor will he be the last. One of the poorest neighborhoods in all of Canada is the downtown east side. Unfortunately, because of the state of the neighborhood, it is very uncommon for homeless animals like Ben Ben to die from disease or starvation. It should come as no surprise that Ben Ben was in extremely bad shape and barely alive when an SPCA officer eventually came across him. It only took a millisecond's glimpse to realize how serious things were. There was just no way that they could leave Ben Ben, since doing so would be a death sentence. The cop grabbed him without thinking, and he ran to the only location that sprang to him, the Vancouver Animal Emergency and Referral Center. A group of experts met him with open arms and promptly got to work on the ginger cat, doing their best to identify and heal the vast array of wounds on him. It was at this point that they realized the severity of Ben's illness. He wasn't even a year old yet he was already aware of the evil and inhumanity in the world. He was badly emaciated and unable to move due to a deformed and crushed spine. His neck had fused several vertebrae together, making it uncomfortable for him to turn his head. There were severe cuts and puncture wounds that were heavily infected, suggesting that a big animal had attacked. The group had also found a serious ear mite infestation. Ben Ben had actually scraped his ear so much that scar tissue had caused deformity, giving him the recognizable cauliflower ear. He received IV fluids and wound care, but the team's only option under the circumstances was to try to make him as comfortable as possible. Ben Ben was moved to the BC SPCA hospital the next morning, where medical professionals treated and monitored him for the ensuing 10 days. Many people expressed interest in adopting him during this time, but when they learned about his severe maintenance requirements and medical issues, the adoption ultimately fell through. A family once adopted Ben Ben, but for just these reasons, they gave him back to the shelter. After being brought back, he was at this point determined to be unadoptable. The vets who were taking care of him said that painkillers would be a lifetime requirement and that he would never be able to walk again. His quality of life was already declining, and they lacked the funds to continue his care over the long haul. The shelter chose to pursue euthanasia, even though it was a devastating decision. The scheduled demise of Ben Ben was set for May 1st, 2016. Hospital workers reported that Ben Ben had given up totally, almost as if he knew his day was coming, even though he had not yet reached the end of his first year of life. He had stopped eating and drinking, and what little movement he had previously had vanished. Ben Ben's unfortunate fate was sure to come true sooner or later. The kitten's frail life was shadowed by the menacing danger of death, and as time went on, the weight of his hopelessness grew. But just when it looked like there was no chance left, fate stepped in through Sandy Windover, a veterinary technician whose choice to take care of Ben Ben would change the course of his life forever. Sandy had experience adopting cats, particularly those with specific needs. She demonstrated her lifelong commitment to animal welfare by her training, credentials, and wealth of work experience. She had worked at the Vancouver Animal Emergency and Referral Center for many years, and she had seen many instances, each with its own special set of difficulties and heartache. However, no one could have ever adequately prepared her for the intense severity and profound emotional depth of Ben Ben's situation. Sandy only had to take one glance at Ben Ben's face in her emergency clinic to feel her heart melt. She could see right then that this was going to be more than just another case. After returning home, she informed her now husband Adam Tutt about the cat that had captured her heart. She couldn't stop herself and monitored Ben's health and adoption status as soon as he was moved to the animal hospital. All I could think was that I had to bring him home, she stated. Sandy took the news of Ben's scheduled death as a message, and she decided without hesitation to adopt him. Less than 24 hours before Ben was to be put to sleep, the couple hurried to the SPCA and were met with alarming warnings about his condition. Regardless of the difficulties or expenses they would encounter, they remained steadfast in their resolve to give him another opportunity at life. On that exact day, in the face of uncertainty but with faith as their fuel, they completed everything and brought Ben home. They had no idea that everything would change in unexpected ways in just 1 hour. Ben was immediately full of grins, cuddles, and purrs despite his ailments, which included persistent discomfort, a bone infection, and irreversible paralysis. He was finally safe in the arms of devoted carers, and for the first time in his little life, he was at home. Ben's resolve to recover was evidently equal to that of his owners. Within a few days of his arrival, the paralyzed cat took his first steps in an unexpected turn of events. Because of this spinal damage, at first he was quite weak and could barely shuffle before needing to rest. Even though Ben walked more like a wobble, his parents were still in disbelief. The veterinarian said that he would never walk again, but here he was, aggressively trying to disprove their predictions. Sandy and Adam stood motionless, tears shining in their eyes, as Ben, resolute and unflinching, demonstrated that even the tiniest steps might overcome the most formidable obstacles. To aid in the tabby's mobility and recuperation, their flat was adorned with yoga mats for several months. He became stronger, happier, and more enthusiastic about life as he practiced every day. Evenings of Ben's recovery trials were spent sitting with him and talking gently to him with Sandy and Adam. They would caress his ginger coat, sensing his purring become more intense every day. Ben's path turned into an example of perseverance. His everyday routine became a string of little accomplishments as the flat reverberated with the sound of little triumphs. No matter how unsteady, every stride was a rejection of the odds. Sandy and Adam, amazed at his development, remained steadfast in their support. The once fragile ginger kitten turned into a ray of hope, demonstrating that a determined spirit might alter fate even in the face of overwhelming obstacles. As time went on, Sandy and Adam saw a healing. Ben was the most resilient and determined cat the couple had ever encountered. In a matter of months, the once paralyzed cat was playing with his feline siblings, going farther and exhibiting amazing foot stability. The cutest cat on the internet has turned into a happy ball by the end of the year. Ben was able to run and even jump short distances in addition to walking. Ben's fun attitude developed along with his power. There were mornings when the sound of rolling cat toys across the floor filled the air. Ben's hitherto motionless shape is suddenly charging with renewed energy. Sandy would smile with Adam as they watched him chase after feathers and stuffed mice, his determination evident in every leap he took for fun. He was always having fun and waiting for the next chance to sneak some kisses or, even better, some candy. Nobody who had known him before could believe the growth and changes he had undergone. Ben, who is still recognizable on the internet because of his downcast eyes, rumpled ear, and dejected visage, has become a beloved star thanks to his accomplishments. Beneath the surface, though, he is the world's happiest and healthiest cat. After Ben's amazing metamorphosis story went viral on the internet, strange things started to happen. A viewer of Ben's narrative asserted to know more about the tabby's history. The person related a heartwarming story about how they felt a bond with a cat they thought was Ben. They told how a former neighbor, Miss Thompson, an old woman with a kind heart and a steadfast devotion to animals, had taken in a stray tabby and given him the loving name Benji. Miss Thompson would sit on her porch every afternoon with Benji curled up on her lap and her worn hands caressing his fur, often grazing the crinkled ear that held the sad wounds of a forgotten history. Sadly, the narrative took a depressing turn when the 80-year-old widow died, leaving Benji, now Ben, all of a sudden alone. Miss Thompson had no children of her own, and Ben had been her only friend. After she left, Ben found himself lost and alone in the chilly, hazardous streets, while he still carried with him memories of a life full of love and friendship. Nevertheless, in defiance of all expectations, 8-year-old Benjamin is now not only alive, but also enjoying life once more. In his spare time, he enjoys eating cheese, watching TV, and leading a contented life. Ben's recent celebrity status has been exploited by Sandy and Adam to raise awareness of animal abuse and funds for more homeless pets. Ben's tale, the couple hopes, will encourage people to consider adoption and act as a living example of how a second chance may result in undeterred love and happiness, even while we marvel at Ben's incredible transformation from sadness to happiness. There are still unanswered questions.